Be with us in these moments, our God. Open your word to our hearts, and our hearts to your word. In Christ's name. Amen. The music director and I called the head custodian into my office. I think he was a little fearful of what we were about to do or ask. He seldom got called into the pastor's office. Yet, he also knew that the music director would temper my thinking a little bit. Although I'd been there long enough to have won her over some. The First Baptist Church of Los Angeles seats around 1,800 people. It has balconies on 3 sides of the sanctuary. The tradition was, on Palm Sunday, that the Sunday school kids proceed in with the choir, waving palm branches and having saber fights. You know, you give a branch to a boy, and I don't care how many teachers are watching, they're going to find a way that they're fighting each other, processing down the aisle. I said, Gilbert, what if? And I could see him wanting to raise his eyebrows, but not quite daring. What if, instead of having the kids process in with the choir, we line them around the balcony and give them confetti and paper streamers to throw? Would you be willing to clean up our mess if we help you? And he said, sure. He didn't dare say no, but I mean, what else? But it was okay. He didn't mind. And so that one Palm Sunday, as the choir processed, everyone was showered with confetti and streamers. And talk about kids having fun. You know, how often you get to throw streamers and confetti off a balcony onto your adults? Palm Sunday was a planned event. I hope you got that as you've read the story. This was not an impromptu parade. This was something that was planned by Jesus. What does it say? As they were in Bethany, Bethpage on the Mount of Olives, getting ready to go into Jerusalem, he sent the disciples ahead to get a colt that he'd already arranged to be there. He'd already made the arrangements, and should they be asked, all they needed to give was the password, the Lord has need. And they do. And they find things just as Jesus said they would be. There's a colt, a donkey, never having been ridden. They untie it, they're asked what they're going to do with it. They simply say these words, and suddenly they have a colt, a donkey, to take back to Jesus. I wonder how many times Jesus has walked this route into the city. How many times in his lifetime has he made this journey? It's not the first time. But today he comes on the back of a donkey, a symbol of peace. A horse would be a symbol of war. But the donkey is a symbol of peace. He comes in peace, not in power. And the people begin to see the significance of this moment. You know, they take off their coats and they put it on the donkey as he gets on it to ride in. How do you welcome a king into a city? You know, they begin to take and cut the branches off the tree and begin to line the way. They begin to sing, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. They're drawing attention to themselves and to what's happening around. And you know, there's always a sourpuss in the crowd or two. Do you think everybody was happy with the confetti and streamers? No. We heard. They say, Jesus, silence the crowds. You're drawing too much attention to yourself. We don't want to stir up the Roman authorities. We don't want you to keep going with what's happening and what's going on. This could be dangerous. You're making too much noise. They're hailing you as king, and Rome won't accept another king. You could lose their power and influence. They demand silence. It's a wonder they didn't ask him to get off the donkey. Maybe they did, and it just wasn't recorded, but they wanted to silence the crowd. Now, have you ever tried to silence the crowd? But Jesus says, even if they were silent, this is a moment of such importance that even the rocks themselves would shout. Nature would exclaim, the king is coming in. They cannot be silenced. Can you imagine the rocks crying out, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna. But we miss the next part. I almost missed it. In fact, I wondered why they didn't stop the reading at the 40th verse. And I almost did. Then I realized that next verse is maybe even more important. Because did you notice, amidst all of the noise and celebration, Jesus is crying. As they come near the city, the 41st verse tells us that Jesus wept. As they approach the city, Jesus is crying. As the excitement grows more and more, as more people join in, as there's dancing in the streets, as they're lining the way, he says, if you had only known, if you had only understood what would bring you peace. If you had only understood what would bring you peace. Now, I wonder who noticed the tears. Only recorded here in Luke. I wonder who saw God cry. Because you see, in this moment, two cultures clash. The culture of God and the culture of the people. They want a king. They want yesterday's glory restored. They want David back on the throne in all of the splendor and glory that means. They want to go back to the good old days when they were a powerhouse in the world, when there wasn't a foreign government controlling their lives. Their hopes and their dreams were there on the back of a donkey. They wanted to get rid of the gentle influence. You can hear them almost say, make us great again. Make us a power again on the world stage. We're ready for it. We've waited for it. This is our day. But he came as Messiah, King and Shepherd and Hope. Not on the back of a horse, but on the back of a donkey. If only they had listened to what he said, that power is not in swords, but in love. Doors are to be opened, not closed. Outsiders are not to be kept out, but are to be welcomed in. They want to close their arms, but he wants them to open their arms to the whole world. He is the prodigal father running down the road with his arms wide open to the prodigal son and daughter coming home. He is the good Samaritan bending over to that poor man beaten, robbed, and left naked on the road, providing the care that the bruised man needs. He is the one eating with sinners and celebrating with them on their weddings and their parties. Here comes the King, but not the King they expected. Because you see, the events of the next few days are going to forever change history. Some of those there shouting, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, in a few days may be in that crowd calling for his death. They're all going to run away. One of them is going to deny him at least 3 times. But here they are. And the news of resurrection, a week is going to be given only to a few women who so loved him enough that they wanted to make sure his body was anointed properly for burial. Would they remember what he had called them to do? Would they remember what he had demonstrated in his life and challenged them to do? To love the whole world. Would they remember the tears? I thought of an experience. She was 8, maybe 9. She was one of my hospice patients. I did pediatric hospice for a number of years. Usually when I saw her, we were there with the group. There was the nurses, the social workers, and other things. She was always smiling. She always had a sense of just joy about her. But this day, Mom and Dad and the nurses and social worker went out into the dining room. She and I were sitting in the living room playing her favorite game, talking. She talked better when she was playing a game. And as we were playing, I looked over and I noticed huge tears in her eyes. And I said, "Is there something wrong? Are you in pain?" She said, "No." I said, "Well, what's wrong?" And she said, "I'm scared." And I said, "What are you scared about?" And she looked at me and she said, "I'm scared that Mom and Dad," and she named her little brother, "won't know what to do when I'm gone. Who will love them when I'm gone?" We looked together and I said, "Well, I'll love them." The nurses, the social worker, I named them. They're going to love them. We're not going to give up on them when you're no longer here. Your grandparents, we're going to be with them. We're going to love them. She left a big sigh of relief and said, I'm glad it's okay now. I wonder if that's the reason why there were tears in the eyes of God. He was wondering about the world that he came to redeem. And I wonder if his words were the words of this young girl. Who will love them when I'm gone? Will my disciples remember why I came? The power of love. Maybe that is the real question of Palm Sunday. Not all the hosannas and the celebrations, but who will love them when I'm gone? Show me. Help us, O God, to see again the joy and the celebration, but also to see the tears in your eyes. To hear again the question, who will love them in my place? Is that not our call, O God? To love until you come, as you love. In Christ's name.